Hey everybody, it's Trags alongside Jimmy Murphy of Bruins CLNS media coverage. The Bruins beat the Edmonton Oilers by a score of 4-1 here on Thursday night inside TD Garden. Bruce Cassidy punching all the right buttons, I think, Murph. Jaroslav Halak with 25 saves out of 26 shots faced. Very solid. Of course, he had the shutout in Buffalo the night after the disaster in Washington to start the season. Right. I want to get your impression on the way Bruce Cassidy is not afraid to use Halak early in the season to back up Tuukka Rask.
Well, you know, he said it coming in that they were even going to cut down Tuukka's games even more than they did last year. And we saw it was the lowest total games played by Tuukka since he's been here, or since he was a starter, I should say. And Anton Hudobin had done fairly well. But they've got Halak, who has proven to be a number one in many different NHL cities. You know, he had that great run in 2010 with the Canadiens, took him all the way to the conference final. He's one of these goalies, too, who can get real hot, but then he goes real cold. And right now, Cassie's feeling that hotness. He's feeling that heat out of him. And I think he's really pushing all the right buttons, not just with Halak, but throughout the lineup. We see him put Nordstrom in on the second line. And when I first saw that, I said, what is he doing? But, hey, he made me eat my words. He made me eat my thoughts. He just seems to always have a good feel of the pulse of this team right now.
Asked Halak after the game, Murph, about the fine line between you don't want to feel too comfortable and too nonchalant out there as a goalkeeper, as a goaltender, obviously, but you do want to be able to relax and focus and not get too wound up. There is a fine line, and he said, that is what I have really worked on over the course of my career.
You know, it's interesting you said that because we actually had his agent, Alan Walsh, came on the Bruins beat a few weeks back before the season started. And then off the air, I was talking to Alan, and I said, you know, tell me a little bit about Jaro. You know, what can I expect, and how do I read him? And just tell me about Jaro. And he said, look, sometimes you're going to think the guy's dead. And I said, what? He goes, I'm telling you, he's so calm and collected that sometimes you're just going to think he's not even in the room with you. But then other times, he's going to say these deadpan comments, and you're going to look at him and be like, did that just really come from Jaro? Like, and he said, that's how he is. You know, he's that way on the ice. He's that way off the ice. So that's a good quality to have, obviously, as a goalie.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because after the game he said, I owe Z a steak at least.
See, there you go.
1 or 2 steaks after this game because he certainly saved his bacon after this contest, including that one rolling puck, I believe, it was early in the third period that was going across the crease that Chara helped keep out.
And only Z could make that, right, with the reach he has and the stick he has. But, yeah, it's funny, you know, you bring up the Z and Halak relationship there. They played together in the World Cup 2 years ago. And Walsh told me, Alan Walsh told me, his agent, he said that they became really close. They always knew each other because they're from the same area in Europe, Slovakia and Czech Republic. Right. But they really bonded in that tournament. And if you remember, they played for the world team, and it was kind of an assortment of different countries, and they became this unstoppable pair. You know, Chara on D and Jaro in the goaltending position, and they went on a run all the way to the finals before they lost to Canada. So they have some chemistry already there, and I think Z was pretty psyched when the Bruins brought him in as the backup goaltender, or I shouldn't say the 1B goaltender.
As we wrap it up here, Bruce Cassidy, look, I know you're a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of him in terms of his personality and the way he has a pulse on this team. It's going to be very interesting to me, Murph, how he handles the Halak-Rask dynamic as this season progresses.
And I think one of the things and I'm sure he does and he will keep it in mind, is how it will be handled amongst us, the media, and amongst the fans.
You really think that matters that much to him?
I don't think it's going to change his decision on who he puts in net, but it's going to change his decision on how he approaches it, how he delivers the news to the media in a press conference or after practice on who's going to be a star. And if you notice, he's been telling us, you don't see that a lot from a coach, he's telling us all the time who's next in net. And he's not, and I think in the beginning of the season, he even told us the first rotation to do for the first 3 games. So he's been very upfront with it, and I think the goalies appreciate that, right? Because if you wait until the last minute or you put in Halak as a surprise, all hell's going to break loose, and Tuukka might, you know, he might feel a bit embarrassed or something. But right now, it's all out there. It's all, hey, look, I'm going to tell you guys first, and then I'm going right to the media, and I'm going to be honest with them too. And I think the players appreciate how straightforward he is.
Jaro Halak with 25 saves here on Thursday night. The Bruins beat the Edmonton Oilers by a score of 4-1. Bruce Cassidy punching all of the right buttons early, very early in the season as the Bruins win their 3rd straight. contest after losing that horrific 7-0 game in Washington to open the season. Inside TD Garden, he's Jimmy Murphy. I'm Mike Petraglia, CLNS Media.